Well, the championship 4 for the NASCAR Cup Series is set. The finale in Phoenix this weekend. Who better to lay out what to expect and what's going on with the NASCAR season than Leigh Diffey, NBC's lead play-by-play announcer. Leigh, thanks for making your debut here on the SBJ Sports Media Podcast.
Austin, thank you for having me. Great to be here. Monday morning after Martinsville. Still a bit of a whirlwind, but we're ready to go to the Championship 4.
Well, it was your first visit to Martinsville for this race, the penultimate race of the Cup Series season. I got to ask the heavy-hitting question first. How was your first Martinsville hot dog?
So it didn't go as planned. And the reason why is I was, in a little bit of a rush after practice and qualifying, and I came back in and I let all of our team know that I wanted to have one because I'd put a poll out on Twitter and just a one-day poll and got a tremendous response. And it was 94% yes that I had to have one, 6% no. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this anyway, regardless of the poll. And our production team said, we got a box of them before. And I said, perfect, that's easy. I'll grab one and you film me doing it. It was cold. So I didn't have the true experience with the one that I videoed.
Cold hot dogs.
However, when I admitted that on social media yesterday, I think before the race, some people put some messages out, and the next minute we had Chip Weil up there. He brought a new bag of hot dogs. So I got to experience a really good one yesterday, and I have to say it was pretty good.
Chip Weil with the save. That was good. That was key. Beyond obviously the premium food and beverage experience that you experienced at Martinsville, some really incredible action there in the race. Ryan Blaney getting that win to get into the Championship 4. How awesome was it to see that during your first experience there?
Well, first of all, to go to the track and the atmosphere and the fans and the legendary venue that it is, it has added on to and is an extension and a continuation of my first times. Like for all of the places and tracks that I've worked at and commentated from around the world, for me to be experiencing Talladega for the first time, Darlington for the first time, and adding Martinsville with the amount of history that's gone down there, I've found myself being on this balancing act of, well, I'm a lifelong fan anyway, but I've kind of gone into fan mode before I've had to go into work mode on these weekends, where I just walk around and eyes wide open, ears wide open, and be a true fan before I have to go into work mode. And I've really loved that experience. I've loved just interacting with the fans. And then even for Jeff Burton and Steve Letarte, my Booth brothers, they've even said, having you come in with fresh eyes has kind of reminded us of things that we've forgotten about because we've been to these places so long. So that's been great. And then add on the dramatic finish with Ryan Blaney doing what he did in the shadows of Homestead Miami Speedway, where he had that gut-wrenching defeat. What a comeback.
Blaney, Joey Logano from Penske in that Championship 4. You also have William Byron from Hendrick Motorsports, but Tyler Reddick from 23XI Racing. And I want to talk a little bit about 23XI. Lawsuits aside, has to be incredibly impressive that a young organization like this is already competing for a championship.
Yeah, it is incredible. And I think if I'm getting this right, they had a 5-year plan. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin had a 5-year plan that this team would be in championship contention within that time frame. So this is year 4. And for an organization to start out, and obviously they're well-funded, well-resourced, but that collaboration with Toyota, choosing the drivers they have, and then being able to go to the Championship 4 is pretty remarkable. The new facility here in Charlotte, it really is impressive, because when a new organization comes into any sport, and you know what, you could use the example of another new team in NASCAR, Trackhouse, Justin Marks, what he's doing in MotoGP, going into an historic sport, but being a fresh team, and how do you start and how do you get that quick success? So I think 23XI has done a really terrific job representing Toyota. So you've got 2 Fords, a Chevrolet, and a Toyota in the Championship 4. So all manufacturers are taken care of. 3 different teams. I think there's some really strong storylines, heading to Phoenix.
Talk about impressive years. I want to talk about your year. You've had quite a run here.
It's been busy.
It's been quite a busy year. You were calling most of the IndyCar season for NBC Sports earlier. Then you went over to Paris, called some track and field. Now you're doing NASCAR for NBC in the back half. A, how busy was it, in fact? And B, how did you prepare during the course of that to get ready for this portion of the NASCAR season?
And if I may add on, I started the year doing Supercross, Monster Energy Supercross.
Just to brush it off a little bit.
And then IMSA as well. So it's been a really busy year, but it's fun. Definitely the best year I've had professionally, personally as well. Our family's growing. We've got teenage boys, and it's been a busy year at home, busy year at work. It's always a continual lesson in time management. right? With between family, travel, study, and then actually doing, what we're paid to do and what we're asked to do. It's fun. I have to say that over the years, because it's normal life for me to be bouncing around to different sports, different disciplines, what have you. So that's nothing new for me. What has been really refreshing in this NASCAR passage is having a singular focus. And this is a 12-week, 3-month block for me. And it's nice just knowing that next week I'm doing NASCAR. The following week I'm doing NASCAR. And so that helps to your question with my prep. I have loved getting to know people that I've only ever seen on TV, crew chiefs and drivers alike. So I've been forcing myself each weekend to try and get around to meet as many different and new people within the NASCAR garage as I can, which is part of the preparation. Our teenage boys are always asking me, Dad, we need to do this. Why are you in the office again? I'm like, because I'm doing more homework now than I did when I was at college, But it's part of the job and it's been fun, and I feel really lucky to have been a part of the events that you mentioned and mixing it all up, and it's been an awesome year, and it's going to finish off strong next weekend.
Well, you talk about all the events you've just called this year, but you've also called F1. You've called the Dakar Rally. How did you get an original interest in motorsports growing up in Australia?
Through my dad. I grew up in a motorcycle family. I raced dirt bikes as a kid. My older brother raced dirt bikes, and then through the motorcycle club that we were in, our friend group, my oldest friend in life, he went on to race MotoGP, almost became MotoGP world champion, and you're mixing in those circles. And I never grew up dreaming of being a sports broadcaster. At high school, I studied agriculture. I thought I may have been in ag economics or something like that. And then I ended up becoming a school teacher, but was still always in the background was the motorsport. And then I fell into commentary at the local dirt bike club, and it kind of went from there. So an accidental career that I'm very, very grateful for.
Well, as one who has an accidental career in sports as well, I definitely empathize, and I appreciate to hear that sort of story. All right, Leigh, a couple quick hitters here to wrap things up. Best new track that you have visited in your NASCAR role? Talked about a lot of them.
Can I cheat and have two here?
All right, I'm going to give you two here.
I was blown away by the physical nature and the history that grips you when you drive into Darlington. Mm-hmm. And then I was blown away by the enormity that is Talladega. And being treated every weekend to a ride in the pace car with my partner, who I stand shoulder to shoulder with, Jeff Burton, and Jeff just talking me around and giving, and he takes Steve Letarte as well, and that's a real bonus, especially for me, going to some of these tracks for the first time, and even to others that I've been to a bunch, like Watkins Glen. Even doing those laps with Jeff has been tremendous. So I think the track that I was most in awe of is walking out, arriving to the track on sunrise and walking out onto pit lane when nobody was around at Talladega. That was pretty surreal and just hard. My late dad always used to use the word colossal. Mm-hmm. That place is colossal.
Yeah, that's how I heard it described.
I stood there for quite a while before Jeff took us out and just tried to soak it all in.
Your favorite moment from your years calling IndyCar?
For sure, the Indy 500. Yeah, there's nothing. I had a catchphrase. I was lucky enough to call 6, and I had a catchphrase where I said, "This is and always will be the greatest spectacle in racing. This is the Indy 500." And when you get to do that for the millions of people on television, knowing that in the backdrop there's in excess of 300,000 people there, or in 2020 when there was nobody there, all of those experiences will be lifetime memories for me.
What's it like to have to get up to speed and learn about the sliding events at the Winter Olympics? Because that's something you've also called in the past. Yeah. And are we going to hear you in 26 at Milan Cortina?
Yes, you will. Yep, I'll be there. So I've done 6 Olympics, 3 summer, 3 winter. At the Winter Games, I do bobsled, skeleton, and luge, and that's a lesson in word efficiency because I have different partners for the different disciplines, and the runs are over in less than 40 seconds. So you've got to set it up, say what you've got to say, and it's all over. It's fun, it's fast, it's racing. I love that opportunity that NBC's given me because at the end of the day, I'm a sports broadcaster, but predominantly a race caller. And so they've given me every kind of race possible there is to call, and it's a lot of fun.
You said you've got teenagers at home.
Yep.
Have they gotten you into any like NASCAR gaming or sim racing or vice versa?
They enjoy this. They beg me to get on the sim with them, and I do occasionally. They're way better than I am. They're active. They do track and field and wrestling, and just socially they ride dirt bikes, on the weekends at different places. So I don't mind where they end up. I certainly haven't ever forced them into getting into motorsport. They have a good and varied base of all sport. Just want them to be active, which they are.
What's the most interesting vehicle you've ever driven?
That's a good question. Probably a Porsche Carrera GT. It is a friend of mine's father's here in North Carolina. And my friend said to me, given that the price tag is well over $1 million, he said, be careful with this. One of our brothers has never even driven this car. So, and I got to drive it. I got to drive it from Durham to Pinehurst, which was a real treat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there a bucket list vehicle that you'd like to get behind the wheel of?
Maybe like an old Mercedes or an old Porsche, something like that. My daily driver is a pickup truck, and that suits me just fine. I love. When I lived here in North Carolina, I had a truck. We live in Connecticut now. I still have a truck, so my daily driver suits me fine. Hey, you got to remember that I grew up in Australia. I never dreamt that I A, would be living in America, or B, being a pickup truck owner. So it's fun.
All right, Leigh, we'll get you out of here on this. If you're talking to a casual sports fan and you're trying to get them kind of interested in NASCAR racing, what's your backyard barbecue or your elevator pitch to get them interested?
The visceral experience that is NASCAR. So it's the sight, it's the sound, it's the smell, it's the constant action. If you're looking to be entertained, you will. To me, the greatest mistake or misrepresentation is these cars just go round and round and round. That's like that's not it. Pay a little bit more attention and get into it. And I have met some first timers this year. I've got some friends coming to Phoenix next weekend. One of them I know who has never been, and I'm looking forward to his experience. So I would just say, if you want to be entertained, because to me, while we're all looking at our phones these days, or our tablets or our TVs, there's nothing like seeing something live. I took our boys to Williams Grove Dirt Track last year to see sprint cars for the first time, and to see the reaction on their face. That's what I would say to somebody who's never seen a NASCAR Cup Series race. You'll get the same reaction, especially at the drop of the green flag.
Well, you said it. We have the championship race this Sunday. Leigh Diffey, NBC, will be on the call. Longtime play-by-play announcer, Olympic sports, motorsports, you name it. Leigh Diffey, thank you for joining the SBJ Sports Media Pod.
Thank you. And here we go, Championship 4.